Texas A&M at Notre Dame. We get a rematch from last year's Week 1 bout that took place at Kyle Field in College Station. This might be the hardest game for me to predict this week. The line blows my mind at -7.5 favored towards Notre Dame, a team that has not won yet. Now, granted, they played a very good Miami team. I understand that A&M has looked a little bit slow out the gates in their first two bouts, but not enough for me to look at this line and say 7.5 really makes sense. Look, Notre Dame won this game on the road in Kyle Field. Week 1 amped up Elko's first game last year, and that shocked me. Nothing out of the ordinary would shock me in this football game, but let's just talk about it. For Texas A&M, I love Marcel Reed. I love Mike Elko. I love Colin Klein. I love everything about this Texas A&M roster. But again, the one concern I've had is they've been a little slow out the gates. The run game has been there. The passing game has been there, but it's just been a little bit inconsistent. I want to see more consistency. This is a good Notre Dame defense, but Miami, when they needed to, were able to run the ball pretty effectively. I thought that Notre Dame defensive line wasn't nearly as big of a factor as I would have liked for them to be. So I do think Texas A&M will have the ability to run the football, not at will, so to speak, but I do think they're going to have success there. In turn, I think that takes some pressure off of Marcel Reed. I think that he's going to have a good day. His legs are a big factor for me. That's something to watch for. Carson Beck wasn't as mobile. Now, Carson Beck can run, and he did utilize his legs here and there in that Week 1 game for Notre Dame playing against or Miami, Notre Dame. But Marcel Reed's legs are something that I want to watch for. I think if things start to get dicey, maybe the separation or the play design kind of falls apart. What can he create? If the run game's not there, even the read options, some of the RPO sprinkles that Colin Klein likes to put in. Look, I think Texas A&M's offense, that's a lot there, will get some rhythm and get things going. It's just a matter of how quick and can they get the fans and the crowd out of the game, considering this is in South Bend. Defensively for A&M, it's Mike Elko's unit. They play physical, they play fast, and they are going to blitz you. They're coming. They're gonna establish to stop the run game. Now, the biggest question for me is Mike Denbrock. The identity that Notre Dame tried to come out with Week 1 against Miami was a bit of a head scratcher. Now, they get 2 weeks to adjust. They've gotten to watch the film. They've gotten to kind of live with that pain of just the underperformance offensively in Week 1. Now, granted, the second half, they looked much better, and I loved what I saw out of C.J. Carr. But my biggest concern was the lack of use of Jeremiah Love. Like, I don't understand why he wasn't utilized more. And more specific, in the run game, it felt like he was used so much as a gadget piece. And out of the backfield, they wanted to get him on wheel routes. They wanted to get him like in the route tree, like running deeper, more developed routes. And I don't hate that, but getting away from using him for what he's best known at and what he's the most talented and natural at was just kind of a head scratcher. They ran a little bit more up tempo than they usually do. So just some certain things that it just didn't feel like the normal Notre Dame identity. So do they try to change that? Do they come out and establish a run game and then complement CJ Carr's ability to also run and how well he threw the ball? I want to see that receiving room do better. Jaden Greathouse in specific, I want to see him make plays. I want to see him get open, but it starts with the run game. They have the more than enough talent to do it. One of the best backfields in the country. So curious to see what they do there. Defensively for Notre Dame, it's going to be contain. They're going to have to contain. They have to watch Marcel Reed's legs, and they have to watch the speed that A&M has. A&M has a lot of speed. They're going to want to run a lot of crossing routes, a lot of underneath routes, a lot of, at least not as long developing. A&M doesn't want to come out and throw the ball 400 yards down the field. They want to pick you apart underneath. Simple dink and dunks. They're going to run a lot of picks, a lot of meshes, things along those lines. So that Notre Dame secondary is going to have to be physical. I think they need to play up. I'm curious to see what kind of formations and just looks that Notre Dame tries to give. Do they try to disguise coverages? Do they just load the box and play man coverage across the board? Great secondary. They have all the ability in the world to do that. But what does that do when those corners bail out if Marcel Reed gets outside or they create some kind of a wheel route or mismatches along those lines? So tons to look forward to. My prediction in this game, I don't even know where to start, you guys. Like, I thought about this one before I even did the video, and I still just, I don't know. I just think A&M and Elko, they're just, it was a bit of a slow start, but they've been building up to this big game against Notre Dame on the road. They beat them last year. Notre Dame Week 1 just didn't look like Notre Dame, not even just last year's Notre Dame. Like, it just didn't even look like Notre Dame. I loved what I saw to CJ Carr, and they fought, and they brought this thing back all the way, and very well had a chance to win that game. But being at home is huge. Now, do I think it's as effective as a home field advantage as maybe Kyle Field? Although that proved to be a moot point because Notre Dame beat them on the road last year. I'm going to take Notre Dame to win this football game. I'm going to take them to win a close one. I don't like that line at all. I would absolutely take A&M to cover 7.5 for sure. So if you're already mad at me for picking Notre Dame, and you take my advice, which you never should. It's your own money for one, and I am no expert. This is just my opinion, and I love college football. I try to watch it intently. I've followed both of these teams, watched the film. I just think Notre Dame is going to respond. Having 2 weeks off is big. Had they have played last week, I'm not entirely sure how much would have got fixed. I think having 2 weeks off already after a week 1 loss against a very good team is enough motivation and enough time to really install and kind of find that identity and get it back. Marcus Freeman is a great coach. I love the personability that he coaches with and the relationship he builds with his guys. Now, that's not to say that Elko doesn't as well, but A&M has looked a bit shaky, and this is a game that I don't expect A&M to have to win. I still think A&M has a lot ahead of them this season, but Notre Dame at home, lots of pressure. They do not want to start this season 0-2. That is for a fact. So I'm taking the Irish to win this football game in a very, 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 very close 4-quarter game. I think this is going to be low scoring. I just think we're going to see long sustained drives that probably end in 3 points or end in a turnover on downs. Maybe a big play here or two there, but I would take the under on the game. I love how I say it. I don't know what I'm going to pick, and I'm giving you every betting line as opposed to just an outright winner, but that's all I got, friends. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, we are extremely close to 800 subscribers. I think we're at 792 at the time I'm recording this video. So if you haven't already, I would really appreciate your subscription to the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.